Hey guys, welcome to the third set between SKT and Wemade. This is going to be Pure versus Notice, and Pure last Pro League season had a really good streak, just out of nowhere, and then he's been slumping a little bit lately. Notice, a pretty solid player himself, and I think it's going to be anyone's game, and I'm excited to see it on God's Garden. A lot of people are saying, well, I expect this to be a Protoss map. I'm not so sure. It almost feels like a little bit Lost Temple-esque, except you have your natural secondary, which you can take. It's kind of odd. So you see Protoss actually take their outer natural secondary to avoid harassment over that cliffside edge. It almost feels like this. I feel like air battles are going to come more into effect because of these maps between Outsider, and this God's Garden. I'm trying to think the third one that it really sort of causes that. But anyway, I expect to see that, more air battles one-on-one. But anyway, God's Garden, a fun match. Looks like Pure is starting the bottom left-hand corner as the teal Protoss. Bottom right-hand corner, we have Notice as the blue Terran, and we are tied 1-1.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it goes forward, too, in this map. Both these players really like very, I don't want to say average, because of course these guys would kill me with their pinky on the internet in StarCraft. So, but both these players, like especially Pure, he's one of those guys, gets the wins but gets the losses too. Just nothing really spectacular, but he has a decent, solid playing style, knows what he's doing. And well, Notice did a pretty good job. I believe he got an all kill in the Winners League. That was kind of really the surprise in that regard, just coming all of a sudden getting an all kill. He definitely wasn't the only person really in the Winners League to getting all kills. Some certain players just coming out of nowhere and getting all kills. Like, what the hell are these guys doing? But yeah, I'm not really expecting anything funky from both these players. Very interesting, this map overall. You can get 3 gases fairly easily and hold them fairly easily, except that they are very susceptible to drops, very susceptible to they have a ridge right next to them, and if you put tanks on that ridge, very susceptible to heavy tank barrage. So when it comes to really, this map looks like a map that's really going to come to long games, long tech-based games, and that's really what I'm expecting, coming down to drops. And this is going to force Terrans to play more drop-heavy, not just getting those ground forces just to counter the Arbiters, because he really is going to need a more maneuverable army to really get the Protosses, to make sure that Protosses can hold up a decent, superior economy on those 3 bases they're going to have. If Protoss manage to hold those 3 bases very decently, they are going to be in a pretty good position to take it, though.
In the middle of the map, I think there are opportunities to. It feels like there's a single wall for Terran to hug, but beyond that, there's multiple direction attack the Protoss can take. So I think it's just going to be fun to see kind of the movements. Looks like both players playing pretty standard. Interestingly enough, Notice not sealing his front door up, leaving that front door wide open. He's putting down that first factory. It looks like he is going to go for an expansion himself. Scout going to that upper left-hand corner for Pure. And it looks like Notice going to scout right off the bat. Apparently, I say that a lot. Who knew? It's kind of subconscious. I'll try to stop doing that. Apparently, people say Rise does it way too much. Whatever. And the Probe continuing to that upper right-hand corner despite that SCV. Just kind of wandering around in there. Looks like that Zealot not quite able to deal with that SCV. He's going to run. Now he's going to actually head up. And, SCV almost, doing some damage there. Going to wait for that Dragoon to take care of it. Looks like it's just going to be one base tech at the moment. Nothing too cheesy, nothing too crazy. Probe checking out that upper right-hand corner, not finding anything there. Surprise, surprise. And it looks like, just the factory and kind of light on the Marines, so this Zealot might get 1 or 2 SCV kills just because Notice playing a little bit light. He's only got a single Marine out in the field. He's got it looks like 1 Marine on the ramp, so it's going to be 2 Marines to hold off the Zealot. He's going to have to micro this pretty well, and I think the Zealot should just be able to ignore these Marines and head straight up to that SCV pile and tear out a kill or 2 before getting taken out. It looks like he's at least being guided into that SCV pile. It looks like there has been a Vulture produced. That Vulture should be able to kill that Zealot before too long, but not able to get any SCV kills. That very much surprises me. I expected that Zealot to get taken out, but I expected it to at least get an SCV kill, singular. Now that Dragoon produced, those could be in a bit of trouble because that's going to be 2 Dragoons pushing up against that Vulture, and that tank's going to end up being very late. And he, again, still going to have just only a few Marines to hold that front door. So with a bit of micro, I think Pure could do some economic damage here. Notice being very aggressive, just going to put down that command center right on his front door and not even going to try to secure it first. So playing, I would say, a little bit risky, and maybe I'll call it confidently, but I think if Pure has his wits about him, he should be able to do some significant damage here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the natural secondary. I didn't. It's the protected secondary he's pushing down and taking, which makes complete sense. I thought he was going out for that the opposite base. It's hard to tell on camera sometimes. So actually, that's intelligent play. He's being safe about that. And that is kind of an interesting feature on the map that Terran don't have to float their command center out. Looks like that robotics facility up in the meantime.
Yeah, finally a vulture that gonna go out. Engage a Dragoon, instantly going to be pushed back, but now I think Notice should be able to hold his ramp, has a few Marines up there alongside a tank. We're going to see whether these Dragoons actually manage to do anything. Floating his barracks out there to get the scout. Drop ship, I believe, out. I'm not quite sure. Getting the observatory first to get the scout going. So I'm pretty confident he's probably going to follow this up with some Reaver tech. We're going to see whether it tries to do some sort of economic damage with that Reaver, because the robotic shooter was not actually spotted by Notice. He got his SCV killed just before it was planted down. Next is being put down by Pure as well, so he's going to try to equalize the economic situation to make sure that he can keep production up. Has several Dragoons around. Now, not going to do much else. Starport, I'm sorry, coming up very soon alongside an academy to get those scouts going. So Notice might be thinking of some very early drops just right off the bat. Going to see what he actually manages to. And that could actually be very effective. Get some vultures in there, just harass. First observer now finally out, so he's going to probably know what's going to come his way. And if he manages to prevent the vulture harassment, not manage to do anything, that he will be in a pretty disposition overall.
So it looks like he does have those 3 tanks out, and there's been a rush that's been going out there lately for Terran players. I think it's been kind of a 3-tank supplementary rush, which is really hard to fight off, honestly. I'm not quite sure. I think that might have been why Cal opened up 10-15 gate on in game 1 on Destination. Second gateway going down, but I don't know that I've seen a Protoss that's been able to deal with it lately, but Notice holding off. He's not going to push up with those tanks. The third base going up in the upper left-hand corner. Wow, that is extremely risky by Pure. Pure playing very creative and very off-kilter here. He's going to take a base way out of position where he really cannot defend or reinforce, and he's going to have to be very wary of dropships heading that direction. Because if dropships do make it up there, he's going to have no way to defend it whatsoever, but he might be able to do a little bit of tricky deceiving in the meantime and give Notice kind of the impression that he's sticking to 2 bases when he is in fact at 3 and also at that 3 gas. But yeah, he's going to have to be very wary of anything heading up that way. And the nice advantage of it, because he is taking that base, he doesn't have to get a dropship, and he's not going to have to defend. So basically, kind of try to play against Notice's own kind of what's the word for it? His own tactics, his own kind of habits. Notice, knowing this map is kind of Lost Temple-esque with that expansion over that secondary, and Protoss kind of have to invest to defend that. He's going to try to go and push up that drop up there. Well, in the meantime, Pure completely skipping that and just going to take an expansion out of the field rather than bothering trying to defend it and play 3 base normally. But yeah, this is extremely risky. It's going to come down to whether that is comp-setted or not, or whether the dropships do complete end around and straight to a Stargate here. I assume we could see carriers, but I assume this might be for Arbiters because we did see that Citadel of the Dune alongside. It looks like 4 tanks going to be loaded up, but the question is where are they going to go and what are they going to be able to do? Over that secondary, they could be intercepted by Dragoons if they try to go cliffside. Ooh, and not a lot of defense forces. Nice click there by Pure. Pure getting a lot of information with that observer pushing up, and so those tanks are going to have to unload on the front against those 3 Dragoons. Otherwise, they might have gotten picked off. That'll delay also that third expansion of Notice from going up. But now this is that problem I was talking about. The Vulture mentioned water up that upper left-hand corner. I don't know if there's a Dragoon to help out or not, but either way, Notice is going to be able to get that scout out, and Pure's going to have a hard time defending that, and he's got a lot of territory to cover, and he's got to defend it against dropships that are going to be floating absolutely everywhere. There's that Templar Archive, so I feel like that starport was a little bit early. Maybe he could get super creative and produce a scout to hit those dropships, but it looks like there are 3 Dragoons, but I feel like, yeah, Pure is just very spread out, playing very, very, I don't want to say risky again, but yeah, playing a little bit off-kilter. But maybe with that Pure detection he's getting, the fact that there's so many observers out there, and the fact that Notice really isn't doing anything about him, he'll end up all the better for it.
Yeah, overall, just now pushing down a little bit with Dragoons, gonna try to get some SCV kills going off. Gonna be forced to push back. Almost managed to snap a tank moving back just in time. 1 Dragoon going down alongside. Pure, however, still managed to get pretty decent scouting information. Supply depot being put down there at the choke to make it a little bit smaller, easy to defend. More gateways, a couple more gateways being added. Templar Archives alongside, so he's gonna have those High Templar to supplement his ground forces. He should be getting some zealot speed soon alongside, I believe, to get some zealot production, because he has a very, very dragoon heavy army, almost no zealots to speak of really, which we really would need at this point. More factors being added in by notice, and he's holding his choke pretty well. Has some Goliaths out there alongside those tanks, those two dropships getting spotted out, scan going off, and that observer is gonna die. Oh no, actually yes it is. I thought for a second scan would have been too fast for scanning. Arbiter Tribunal being put down, so it is going to be arbiters. Very, very quick for Pure, I must say, and he's still getting his upper left, still not being harassed, still staying pretty well in the pretty disposition, funneling some forces around, trying to get positioning going. I think if he actually managed to get this quick arbiter out alongside a bunch of zealots, get some cannons up there to help defend the upper left. He has only one cannon there at the moment, but I think he's going to need a little bit more to prevent those vultures from coming in. Dark Templar alongside, actually, for Pure as well. And Science Facility coming up for notice, so he's taking up fairly quickly as well, going to get those upgrades going. Second Stargate actually going up, so he's going to, Pure's going to go for very, very heavy Arbiter production, and he's going to need those stasis to help him out. Second army being put up, I noticed. So all in all, just both players taking up at this point. Vultures running up towards that position, going to get met by it. Some Dragoons are going to actually go through, but I think there's, plenty of Dragoons to defend at that upper right. More gateways now finally being added, but Pure really should be focusing on creating a slightly larger ground army, because he's been focusing on teching a lot, and if Notice decides to push, I'm not quite, actually, I think at this point, Pure might be in a pretty disposition, all in all, to defend that, though.
Really killing me is there's been a heavy investment here. This is a very clever play from Pure. By taking that base, essentially Notice has invested a lot in dropships, and he's not doing anything with them. He's just been sitting with them in his base this entire time. Now he's sending those 4 dropships out in the field. Looks like Pure just checking that upper right-hand corner. Finally moving out, but he's moving out very, very late in the game here. Much later than I would have expected with any amount of dropships. What is this? This is like 10 or 12 minutes in, and he still hasn't. It looks like that observer, I think it spotted those dropships out, so those Dragoons should be in position. There's also a Dark Templar there to provide a little bit of harassment, but the Dragoons, it looks like they are, they might get there in time. No, they're actually at a parallel course, kind of at an odd position. So he might end up losing this upper left-hand base just because there's a lot of tank in there, and before he can reinforce, he might end up just losing his Nexus altogether. And there's that's a lot of tanks, and they might be able to just rush up, squash that Nexus before anything gets finished. Dark Templar wandering up there, getting killed fairly quickly. And now, Pure, this is the danger of taking that base so far away. He's got to reinforce at extreme distances here, and he has to go up a ramp to do it, which is absolutely killer. So even though Pure did have a slight economic lead here up to this stage, I think this maneuver by Pure, by Notice, unless Pure can really squash it, actually looks like he's going to be able to before that Nexus is getting taken out. Those dropships, keep in mind, you kind of and losing 2 dropships on top of it, and all of a sudden Pure in a fantastic position, didn't lose his Nexus, lost a couple probes, didn't lose his Nexus, taking out 2 dropships and squashing that attack force before he really was able to do any sufficient damage, and now pumping a lot of arbiters, and that's going to be a lot of stasis on top of everything else. And then honestly, with 2 good stasis, he could be able to just push right into that natural secondary and end the game.
All in all, just think Notice didn't quite get that right. He should have maybe had a few more forces to supplement those tanks, keep blocking out a couple of mines, maybe would have helped them out. But what finally Pure had there for him was he had those zealots to push up that ramp, not only to block that ramp for him there. On the opposite side, Notice finally putting down mines over the place to help defend his own natural. Still on 3 bases, while Pure is still holding on 4. He did lose a lot of probes. He's going to take him a little bit of time to get all those probes back, but he's also taken the natural at that position, so he's going to be at 5 mining bases. Not quite sure if his natural is still alive or not at this point, but still doing a pretty good job. So far, Notice just running around, planting mines everywhere, so he has maneuverability, so he knows exactly where everything is, spotting forces and everything to try to catch Pure off guard. Some Vultures going to get engaged there by Dragoons. Still, those 2 drops are going on, getting spotted by observers. Observers being annoying overall, just getting the full spots in every position in observers. So Notice just not being allowed to do anything. Zealot's going to go out and engage. Ooh, 1 mine taking a rather large number of Zealots there overall. But now these drops just haven't done anything, and a lot of Dragoons everywhere on the field to help prevent those Vultures from doing any sort of damage. The drop is actually going to come in. Notice might actually be thinking of dropping inside of that base there, as I was saying, getting onto a ridge, but there apparently are some forces there ready for that. We're going to see whether they actually manage to engage. The tanks are actually going to gum up on that ridge and going to try to siege from that position, and I'm going to see whether Pure has reacted in time. Never mind, there's nothing there. So absolutely nothing.
Gotcha.
Oh
yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's glorious. Going up, sieging, and like, well, crap. All right, let's go home, guys. Now 3 arbiters out, a lot of factories up, and it looks like there is a science vessel. It's going to come down to a really critical EMP. Loading up, and he's going to head right into the base. There is an arbiter overhead, but that arbiter stasising everything there and saving it, and that's going to allow Dragoons to get in position and deal with the rest of it. But yeah, again, I worry about specifically 2 or 3 really good stasis here on Notice's army could end everything. Notice, I feel getting fooled and really feeling like he's in a bad position. I think he's just been completely outmaneuvered entirely by Pure in this game through observers and through some beautiful map control. I think out of frustration, more than necessity here, is going to start pushing out, and I think he's got to take something, either one base or another out. Running out with a large vulture force right there, but it looks like a recall going up over that secondary while those troops are away. Huge recall. Wow, a whole lot of troops getting over that natural secondary, and that's going to be it, I think. Notice is going to lose that base, and I think it's going to be easy for Pure to hold off those troops that are out in the field, and Notice just has so far to try to reinforce. Looks like some Templar with some Psystorm to help, and Dragoons somehow managed to get up on the high ridge before the SCVs were able to cycle out of there. And you can see the frustration. Notice is not amused. It's like not amused at all. A couple Goliaths there, but that command center I think is going to get picked off, and at the very least he's being halted on mining, and this is 4 bases versus 2 during this entire time, and honestly Pure might be able to take an additional base on top of this. He doesn't mind losing those attack forces, and SCV's in flight. Being a little too greedy with the science vessel is probably going to end up losing it. Not quite. Vulture's trying to push down that cliff, but not getting anything done, and that is a lot of burning wreckage there. A lot of burning. And Notice, yeah, in a there the science vessel gets picked off. Notice in a terrible, terrible position. Pure by just nice map positioning, having a good sight across the entirety of the map, and really engaging those dropships really well, completely outmaneuvering Notice point for point, and I think that's what's going to give him this game.
Yeah, just wonderful, wonderful game by Pure. Pure play by Pure. Ha ha. Haha, right. Goliaths and Vultures, very few tanks moving down, so Notice is going to try to do some sort of damage, but I don't think he's really going to be able to do. Pure has so much economy going, he's going to be able to reinforce anything. Any push that comes his way is going to have enough force to really prevent that from happening. Dark Templar's running right across the field, going to be able to kill some SCVs. I love seeing Dark Templar do that. One Arbiter does go down there before it really managed to do too much. But there are some Dragoons going to move in. A lot of tanks not sieging up yet, not sieging far too late. Storm going off. Tanks finally sieging, but a lot of them getting taken down before they really managed to do the tanks. High Templar there in position, going to see what actually managed to get some more storms off. Dragoons still pushing back, and these tanks I think are actually being able to be taken down. Another storm going off. Still more tanks trying to push into position, but these these Dragoons, the loaning, with one Dark Templar instead of Zealots going down, even more Dark Templar running down, getting taken down by mines though. So that's not being too effective on the opposite side. Just before managed to get down into the base to do some damage. Dragoons are finally going to push down. Nothing but turrets there to help defend. They kill the observer, but not really much else use for them is there now. So Notice still holding, but he's lost one of his bases. He's still only mining on 2, and I don't really know how much mining there's actually mining there. Some Vultures going to engage some Dragoons, going to be able to manage to take those out, but overall in a very, very bad position for him. Sacrifices 1 Vulture for a Dragoon. I suppose that's very good. He's taken 1 additional base though. To try to equalizing this, but just so much production. Even more Arbiters going to be coming up for Pure, and I think soon enough he's just going to be able to barrel down on just past the front door right into the base and go for the production. As soon as that happens, that's going to be it. Notice he's going to be forced to GG this game, and we are going to see Wemade with a lead here.
Yeah, 2-1, and right now it looks like, yeah, just limping off 1 base. He's only got that, it's really only that natural mineral only that's exposed on the lower side of the ramp that is producing, which is not the 1 base you want to have producing for you, and he's having to play defensively. He's having to seal up plant mines and put down turrets when really he wants to be taking expansions. It looks like he did sneak that upper 3, but that's being lifted off. He had that in the dark for a while actually. But yeah, the 2 forges just continuously upgrading, those arbiters pumping. That's a bunch of SCVs just greedily hugging the gas there. So it's finally taking care of the siege tanks over that exposed natural. It looks like Pure is taking that 12 o'clock base. He can take that 3 o'clock base at leisure at this stage, and yeah, he just has this monstrous attack force with all sorts of Arbiters, all sorts of Templar, and everything else to kind of just run out. Distance mining from Notice, that is not a good situation when you're distance mining versus a Protoss who has 5 or 6 bases. Is still running. I'm not sure what's with that science hustle. He's like running out there thinking he's going to be Captain America himself. He's like, I'm a superhero. I can EMP and take out the entire base myself. Siege tanks moving out, but honestly, I don't think there's anything Notice can do. I think it's just going to be a supplementary win at this stage. It's just going to be, yeah, just showing the army to really convince. It looks like he's trying to move to the north to establish some position there, but that's not going to happen. Not with a single Dragoon and Vultures versus that many, or I'm sorry, a single Goliath and Vultures versus this, and getting flanked from all directions. All directions. Pierre's just been beautiful with his troop movement this game. There's the look of resignation there from Notice. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Going to move on to Game 4, and it's going to be a ZVZ, which we're pretty much going to see a lot of on Battle Royale.
정말 이렇게 달라질 수가 있습니까? 정말 3라운드 때 박상현 선수